I always thought living in a quiet area would make me feel safer. That turned out to be the biggest mistake I've ever made. I had just moved into a small rental house on the edge of town. Behind it was a stretch of woods that went on for miles. No houses, no roads, just trees. The first few nights were peaceful, too peaceful. No cars, no people, just silence. Then one night, a little after midnight, I heard footsteps outside. They weren't fast, they weren't random, they were slow, measured. I told myself it had to be an animal, but animals don't stop. These footsteps did. Every time I heard them, they stopped directly outside my bedroom window. I never saw anything when I looked. Just darkness, just trees. A few nights later, I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not inside the room, outside the wall. It was calm, steady, like someone standing still listening. I didn't move, I didn't even breathe. After what felt like forever, it stopped. The next morning, I found footprints in the dirt behind my house. Bare footprints, leading from the woods to my window. There were no footprints leading back. That was the first night I slept with the lights on. The sounds continued for weeks, sometimes footsteps, sometimes breathing, never voices. I finally installed a camera facing the woods. When I checked the footage, I immediately regretted it. At exactly 12:14 a.m., a tall figure stepped out of the trees. It didn't move. It didn't approach the house. It just stood there, facing my window. The camera stopped recording 20 minutes later. I moved out the next day. I never found out who it was, and I never lived near the woods again.
I didn't realize how strange the house was until I started asking questions. I moved in because it was cheap. Too cheap for the size. Too cheap for the location. The landlord didn't talk much. He just handed me the keys and told me the previous tenant had left suddenly. That should have been my warning. The house itself was normal. Nothing broken, nothing old, nothing that looked dangerous. But it never felt empty. At night, I'd hear doors opening, not slamming, just the sound of a latch moving. When I checked, every door was still closed. Sometimes I'd hear footsteps upstairs, slow pacing, back and forth. I lived alone. I asked a neighbor about it. He went quiet when I mentioned the address. He told me no one ever stayed there long. I laughed it off. People exaggerate. Until I found something in the basement. Behind a loose panel, there was a list. Names, dates, short notes. Every name had a move-in date. Every name had a move-out date. None of them stayed longer than 2 months. The last name on the list was mine. That night, I packed my things. As I was leaving, I noticed something carved into the doorframe. It said, "Don't stay." I listened. The house is still empty.
I used to work the night shift at a small gas station, the kind of place no one visits unless they have to. It was usually quiet, just truckers and the occasional local. One night around 3 a.m., a man walked in. He didn't make any noise, no footsteps, no door sound. I only noticed him when he was standing at the counter. He didn't speak, he just stared at me. I asked if I could help him. No response. He slowly placed his phone on the counter. The screen was cracked. The display was dark. He pointed at it. I picked it up. There was one notification, a missed call from my number. I told him it had to be a mistake. I hadn't called anyone. He tilted his head, still silent, then he walked out. The door didn't open, it didn't close. He just wasn't there anymore. I checked the cameras the next morning. At 3:02 a.m., the footage froze for exactly 30 seconds. When it resumed, the man was gone. but the phone was still on the counter. The police took it. They told me it belonged to a man who had died 2 years earlier in a car accident, less than a mile from the station. I quit that job the same day. I still don't answer unknown calls